sword. Tom's act is near the rail.
Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week 4 from Saratoga, coming to you live on the backstretch on an overcast morning. As of this moment, we are on the turf, so here's keeping our fingers crossed, Seth, that we keep rolling.
Yeah. Once again, the weather forecast was for a little rain today, but at this point, we're looking pretty good. So, fingers crossed for the remainder of the day. Into the weekend, it seemed like there was the possibility every day. Plenty of sun, but it looked like maybe something will hit. So we'll have to keep our fingers crossed every day. But
did it rain up this way?
Not that I saw or know
of. It rained pretty good in the Capital District.
Did it?
Yes.
Now, I came out this
Turned
morning
off
and
the
it was
sprinkler.
like, everything was dry like this.
So we'll see. Unbelievable week 4. Whitney week. So tomorrow will be August, and it'll be the August place to be. And, I know very often I, in particular, talk about what used to be. But I have to say one thing that is spectacularly better now, Seth. It is possible you could have the Whitney card done before they kick off the 4th week.
Yep.
And for a public handicapper, I have such respect for the people that did this. Not even really, well, before my time, the people that I read in the 70s, I can't imagine how laborious it was against the clock. Even, when did Naira go to the 72 hours? Just before the pandemic, I think. That was always a stick in the mud entry time in New York. We weren't 72 hours. I think it went 72 hours. And now with the intranet and with, I know you had David Aragona on the other day. I stuck around to introduce myself because I have such respect for the job he does and how fortunate we are that he does that job for New York. But so the morning line is out and the Saturday card that we haven't even run on Wednesday. And that's,
12 in the Whitney. To me, that's amazing. A handicap division race.
I think it says something.
Well,
how do you not run?
Yeah.
If I had an entry-level allowance horse, I'm going.
Yeah.
Why isn't Torpedo Anna in there? She should have taken that shot. She should have skipped the Coaching Club American Oaks. She should have run for the big bucks.
It is $1 million. National Treasure from Bob Baffert.
Do you remember the year it was a higher purse of the Travers?
No.
Okay. It was just a couple of years ago.
I don't remember.
Okay. It was kind of like surprising, but they only did it once and they kind of.
Well, fill us in. What year?
5 years ago.
Okay.
1.25 million and like 1.5. I was like, when it came out, it was kind of like stunning. Like, well, no, this is the premier race. You got to put up the money. But it's a competitive race. On balance, great betting race.
Yeah.
We kind of saw this coming, that this would be what the handicap division would look like this year.
Yeah. And in the Troy, one race earlier, Cogburn returns. I'm looking forward to seeing his return.
What?
That was that was phenomenal at Belmont Stakes.
A tour de force.
I mean,
on a turf sprint is quite amazing.
111 buyer, 59 and change
59.
for 5.5. Oy, oy, oy.
I mean, I know it was June. I know it was firm. I know the rails were down, and it was a very fresh lawn. But he was motoring, boy. Yeah. That was might have been the performance of the weekend.
Yeah, no, I would not disagree with that thought whatsoever. And then, to flatter him, Star of Mystery comes back and wins subsequently in this more traditional meet.
Once she run third to him in the Jaipur, then she comes back and skips racing against the girls and just backhands the boys. So that's it's pretty good. August though. I mean, it's what's funny is I was thinking about this at Monday when I started doing this card. this would be opening day. So we've had 14 extra races. Then we'll have the week leading up to Labor Day, which was kind of new. But July 31st, so we already have 14 racing days in the book.
And with those 14, I'll update Jockey battle. Flavian Prat with 19, Irad Ortiz with 18. So boom, boom, right up on top. Tyler Gaffley on 13, and a tie with 12, Jose Ortiz and Manny Franco. And on the trainer side of things, Chad Brown with 13, both with 9, Mike Maker and Todd Pletcher, both with 7, Bill Mott and Mark Cassie. So there's how things stand there after the first 14.
I think we can maybe see that jockey battle being those two young men.
I hope it comes right down to the one, because they're both riding very well. No
all the way
question
to the end. So, they're out, they're two incredibly, might be two of the 3 best jockeys in the world, inviting Ryan Moore into the conversation, and, unbelievable. But not too many. Do you have a list of the turf races off the turf?
No.
No. I wonder how many they. Hasn't been bad. We got through last week. It was a blessing because it looked. That's why I said, Seth, about 20 some odd years ago, I stopped handicapping the weather.
Yeah.
It's just too difficult.
No, Wednesday and Thursday last week were funny because the beginning of the week it looked like a slam dunk.
Yeah.
But both days turned out to be gorgeous.
And I was busy on Sunday. How did your pick 3 go? Are you over?
Oh, there was, I missed it on both of them.
All right,
but
so
you go back and look what I done. I couldn't have done anything until the very last couple of races on Sunday. I whiffed. So there was no sequence I was putting together on Sunday that would have changed things. It was just a funny day like that. So we will reload next week and try it again. And speaking of promotions, let me remind you that today it's prize wheel day at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Go down, they'll randomly select folks to spin the prize wheel, so maybe you get a little extra something if you stop by the Racebook today. 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Coming up at the Racebook on Thursday, Play the Board contest. So some extra dough up for grabs on Thursday at the Racebook as well. $100 knockout challenge down at the Racebook on Friday. So again, a little extra fun Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday if you swing by the Clubhouse Racebook. And Saturday, it's the King of the Hill contest. Again, relatively new event. Swing by and take your shot. Saturday is also the Bounty Bet returning. Play the late pick 5, the final pick 5 here at Saratoga with your capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the Bounty. And Sunday, the return of the pick 3 bankroll. Entries will open up for that on Friday. Coming up top of the hour, Racing Across America. We'll be joined by our friend Tom Law at Saratoga Special Day, and Tom's in the rotation. Kim Weir will swing by. She's with Therapeutic Horses of Saratoga. They have some events coming up. We'll hit on those. I was also out to their farm, just probably less than 10 minutes from the track. Took a little tour with some other folks the other day, so we have some video of that. And Tom Amella will join us, his regular Wednesday spot, taking a look at some trips and some wagering strategies. All of that, 10 o'clock, Racing Across America.
You have your question ready for Tom Law? Where's my pin?
Oh, that's, yeah, I will ask. Although Tom's not the president anymore. I will ask Tom that. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, tell the people you can't.
Well, you brought it up.
Well, yeah, but so, what's it like, 18?
And you've got one, right?
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing about this.
I think you're the one who told me about it. I was like,
yes,
really? There's
you're like, I don't have a pin. So last year, Seth and Brian nominated me for the NTWAA. There's a lot of letters.
National Turf Writers and Broadcasters.
And AAB. And Tom Law. So I got it. So I got a very nice packet and everything. It was a very elegant looking pin. So Seth is a member. Obviously, members do the nominating. Seth goes, I don't have a pin.
I don't have a pin.
So but Tom's still there. He's just not.
Yeah.
So Tom Law is
he would know.
High-ranking official, past president of the Turf Writers and Broadcasters. So
I was with Tom and Joe Clancy and the rest of the Saratoga Special. They had their Readers Club had a little event downtown on Sunday night, so it was a fun way to cap off the week.
What is that?
If you want to help support the newspaper, you get some special things. They have a podcast that's available to the Readers Club. They have some swag that's available. They've done for the last few years. So
very nice.
The special Readers Club.
All right, time for a kickoff week number 4, unbelievably, on July 31st. Time for the DePaula Play of the Day.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hey everybody, Steve Bick with you on Wednesday as we kick off Whitney week. And we got a little bit of a weather issue. Not sure if we're going to be on the grass, which steers me toward the dirt races. And let's look to the 9th for the DePaula Play of the Day. And want to get a winner here with Holton, the 4. 4-1. Jose Lascano rides back for Bill Mott. First time Lasix. Drops in for a tag from Maiden Special Company and makes a lot of sense in this spot. Was actually a better horse, it seems, last year as a 2-year-old on the dirt. And Mike Maker had him, tried him on the grass. Mott even tried him on the grass last time in June at Aqueduct. And now finally gets back to the dirt. Square price, $10 horse maybe. Holton, the 4, your DePaula Play of the Day in the nightcap at the Spa. Should be a great week. Back with you tomorrow for the Thursday DePaula Play of the Day.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, the Handicappers Report. Time about kicking it off, the opener on Wednesday at 1:10. 9-race card. We have the Jonathan Kaiser Memorial Steeplechase.
This to me is an intriguing race. Confusing. Let me put it that way, but more than intriguing. It's tough. But I went with Kayamori. I'm assuming. I think this horse has some talent. Comes in off a seasonal debut that I thought was pretty good and one to build on, but we've said it before. Horses that have experience, like early in the career, were on regular race courses, typically do pretty well on these race course type steeplechase settings as opposed to those hunt meets. But I will say, over the jumps, when this horse has been on a regular race course, Colonial, I'm just looking down. Colonial had a jump race. I thought there was one other, but I'm seeing Colonial. But regardless, that wasn't spectacular. But I just thought, this one's interesting. I'll go there. Clarabelle, also intriguing. A mayor facing the boys. Comes off a big win down at Aiken on the return to the jumps. This horse, you go down the page, was going over the jumps, then went on the flat for a while again, came back to the jumps last time and pretty much led them all the way. I'm just not sure how that last race classes up with these. But again, it's a little bit of a head scratcher of a race. And Zarek the Brave comes in from Europe and off of the European form has been installed as the even money morning line favorite. But I would say to people, you don't have to look any farther than the number 5 horse to see that European form doesn't necessarily hold up. So I went 2, 6, 3, and 4. I'm really interested to see how it plays out.
4, 8, 3.
Oh my God, you're one of those.
What?
At least you picked.
I have to pick.
I'll give you credit there.
I have to pick. I think I'm like, I can't remember the last one I hit. I'm like, however many they've had, the 2 years we've been doing it every day together, I'm 95% sure I'm over. So they run about what, 7, 8?
Yeah, that's right.
On average, one a week. They try and get in, right?
Well, not
So-
this year, but
So I'm about over 18. So
all right.
I do look at it. I do try and apply what I think I know, but
I said I give you credit. You're picking.
And by the
It's
way,
not
'cause
everybody does.
give the bad news equal to good news. After 26 and a half months, as a rounding thing, we're still at $2, but I know better. Technically, I am under by about $24 after 26 and a half months, my ROI. I had a horrible,
still pretty
horrible
good
week last week.
Still pretty good. Second race this afternoon, 50,000 conditional claimers. 7 furlongs is the trip.
Now, that seems to be my modus operandi. 2 years ago was the last week when my mother-in-law passed. I was brutal the last week. I was ahead and I lost it. Then last year I said I was like 1 for 36 on Saturdays.
My top picks have just been. I meant to count my second. I meant to do that last night.
Second selections out of one.
I think that would outpace my top picks last week.
And that's bad for you because they were probably better prices
which was
on average.
That was frustrating, but it's
not
been
easy.
a frustrating first 3 weeks for me
I
as far as the
understand.
top picks.
All right. 362 for me as we get underway on Wednesday. And, you know, the funny thing about it, Seth, was I liked the card very much 3 of the 5 days last week. I liked it Wednesday. I liked it Thursday very much. I liked it Sunday. I mean, I was, you know, but that's how it goes. But Night Effect is a runner I like very much. This is the, you know, this is the starter allowance. These are 50 restricted claimers. So it's a little tougher than the 16, etc. So this would be a good barometer for me with Flojo on a Night Effect, my top pick. Squire Creek, Joe Sharp claimed this was for 50,000. Comes back in here going 7/8 for the 50. And then for third, Certified Lover Boy. Just aired down at Aqueduct after being claimed 362.
4, 2, 6, and 3 for me. I thought the horse coming in from Southern California might be intriguing, loose into the Mike Maker barn. Now, that said, this is a Calbred moving to New York, so I'm not sure how the horse is going to class up exactly. But what we see on the page and the numbers this horse typically throws, again, I thought this one could be interesting for Mike Maker. Certified Lover Boy, off the latest, is clearly the horse to beat. Absolutely move forward off the claim for Linda Rice against starter allowance types. So, again, a saltier condition. As I say, the one to beat if we can kind of repeat that effort. Squire Creek in the third spot, as you said, was claimed for 50, moved up a little bit, showed some punch before fading, but probably returns to the comfort zone here in the second. 4, 2, 6, and 3. Is this the break race?
It is the time for the dark horse play of the day.
I will jump in with the dark horse play of the day on this Wednesday afternoon. It's going to be race number 5 today, scheduled for the turf, and I'm going to put Marvelous Madison on top. I will say, I'm hoping, I shoot for double digits as a payoff, $10 or above, and I would like, you know, if you've watched enough, you're seeing odds that are better than that, certainly most of the time. This one's 7-2, so I need to go up half a tick. With being a Chad Brown horse, we're probably going to go the other way. But I didn't see anything else that was intriguing necessarily. So I will put that caveat out in front. But Caravaggio, good with first-time starters this year, 16 first-time starters as a sire, 3 wins, 3 seconds, 3 thirds. Some very nice siblings from the Dam. Sweetness won the career debut. Shoddy won the career debut. Shady was second and then won in the second start. And then Just Step on It, second, fourth, then first. So there's some win early, obviously, underneath as well. It's Chad Brown. Again, top and bottom with the win early breeding. I will say I debated Ada May. That one's intriguing to me in here as well. There's a win early sibling for that one. And that was the better, more dark horse's price. But I felt a little more confident with Marvelous Madison. So in the 5th at Saratoga, our dark horse play of the day, number 5, Marvelous Madison, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both in downtown Saratoga. And I visited yesterday so I could get a little footage for when Marianne and Maddie stop by. We'll probably plug them in next week. Impressions is back open. They have put the repair on they had the flood in the basement of their building that knocked out their electricity, but they're up and running. And as I was in shooting, wanted to get some fresh footage, and there was a lot of people in both stores. I went to both. And it's worth stopping by and browsing on Broadway in Saratoga. So thanks to them, Dark Horse and Impressions, for their sponsorship of the Dark Horse Play of the Day.
All right, very nice. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the first pick four.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Clare Court, across the street from the Horseshoe Inn on a very pleasant morning. I mean, it is slightly overcast,
Workers again,
which is good for television, by the way.
Going into the gate.
Yeah, school's open once again. It's a popular time. Speaking about popular, it was a while ago, I would say maybe 15 years, but the New York State bred maiden claiming condition was a godsend.
Yeah.
It basically eliminated, and this is the truth for any of our new viewers young new viewers, etc., the 0 for 76ers that just, it was just too tough. And then, this and the 2-year-old reserve price are the two best because it makes for competitive races, which is what I'm seeking. And I just off the top of my head, I'd say about 15 years. They didn't have them. I mean, I could go through a list of horses that were north of 50 losses, but this just opens it up, which has got to be good for owners, I would think. I know cashing a check without winning can be
some of those horses were all right.
No,
most of them not.
Right, exactly. I think you make a great point. Some of them were like, no, this is okay, Anthony. Hush, hush, keep that down. But I think the vast majority was
no question.
Give me some relief. Take it away.
I have it 7, 8, 5, and 6. I could have gone either way with the 7 and the 8. Egyptian Quest and Irish Tenor. They're both stepping out of maiden special weight, but Egyptian Quest is stepping out of open maiden special weight at Monmouth last time, and it was a decent little third. So now comes back, faces the state breds for the tag. I'm going to tilt slightly in that direction. Irish Tenor, a little bit intriguing in that most of the races have been on the dirt. The turf start, number-wise, was okay, and I think the number is going to fit nicely on this class move as well. And then in the third spot, Spoken Bluntly. This one, on the other hand, as we look at the turf, tried the turf for the first time last time and may have signaled with the number that's where he wants to be. So interesting race, 7, 8, 5, and 6.
You left my top pick, you put him in fourth, but I'm usually the more illogical type horses. I thought
I'm rooting for it. It's a Roddy horse.
Roddy and Mary Valenti have number 6, Bastino Santino, who I think fits like a glove in here. In this day and age, I've talked about it, Seth. I'm almost committed in my mind's eye that, and I'd like to talk to some trainers, that 90 days is a true layoff. My point is, Roddy and Mary's horse has run once since December, and there's a layoff line for May 17th. I don't think so. I don't think Bruce Levine has had this horse in the barn going, we'll lay off or we'll come back. I just don't believe that. And I get a good post position draw. I get Javier Castellano in the saddle. I like number 6.
But I'll tell you what shied me away a little bit. Has had some experience at this level.
Yes.
And the last was okay, but the others are dropping, and so I gave them a little bit of an edge. That said, the two turf races for Bustino Santino
What's
may
in
give
there,
that one
right?
the edge. Yeah.
And this is where I said before you clued me into how much the Beyer speed figures affect better choices. The Beyer par has always been one of the things that I initially do, because sometimes, well, a lot of times I like horses that are bigger price. I'm like, can you run that number? That's like a starting point for me, and I'm right there. Irish Tender, they take the blinkers off. First time in for a tag for John Kimmel, and then number 3, first off the claim, adding blinkers. Number 3, Dylan Davis has them out. Oscar Barrera the third, 6-8-3 in the third.
Race number 4 this afternoon, we are again looking at state breds, this time allowance non-winners of one other than level runners, going 9 furlongs.
And I have to say, one of the fears, Seth, that I had when they, I don't know, do they call it the Wilson Shoot? Or the?
I think they do, yeah.
Okay. With my fear when the Wilson Shoot came back, giving trainers a chance to go a mile, that the 9 furlong 2-turn races would almost be cannibalized. I mean, it's the whole nature of the game. We want to run less far. Hey, you got Machu Picchu on your wallpaper there.
Oh, it changes all the time.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
Since it's a 9-race card, that's like the one. There's 2 places in South America I want to go. That's one of them. But I told my wife, and I'm serious about this. I said, and I'm trying to do this, you have to be in much better aerobic shape than I am presently in. It's 11,000 feet up. You know, they always talk about Denver. Well, Denver's only 5,280, but Machu Picchu is like 11,500. And I know you can take a bus for part of it and everything, but I am not going up there in this shape I'm presently in. But Machu Picchu. But like I said, I'm very happy that I love 2-turn dirt racing. And, so I'm glad that we've had a plethora of them. 8-5-3, Bob John Ray, who gets the outside post for Chad, making the second start versus winners, a very competent. One of the things we've had to get used to, another thing we didn't have is, before we used to have a very different, Belmont to Saratoga was a completely different track and circumstances. But now we've had the Aqueduct to Saratoga, and it's very normal. We did the 2 turns very nicely. Manny has the mount back. Toscano, number 5, is my second pick. Larry Ravelli's horse. 1 on debut. Runner-up going 7/8 in the second start. Gets 2 turns for the first time. And for third, Hagrid's Flame. John Terranova's runner makes the second start. First off of a light freshing, which is sketchy in my book. But first time versus winners, 8-5-3.
Same exact, 8-5-6-1. Bob John Ray, it's Chad Brown runner. Broke the maiden 2 back, got experience at this level last time. The Beyer numbers have been progressing forward. I think should be primed for a good effort from that outside post position. Toscano in the second spot. Comes up 2 nice starts so far. Ships in for Larry Ravelli. It's interesting. They tried the, Larry Ravelli based out in Chicago at Hawthorne, and they shipped in to face state breds off a maiden breaker at Hawthorne. Shipped in during the Belmont meet, ran a good second, then back to Hawthorne, now back. But again, they're putting up $95,000 to face state breds. So a very logical player with IRAD on board. I put in the third spot, left them behind. It's our friends at Saratoga, Barkley Tag. I think the numbers this horse typically throws are right in the mix. And Ya Mode, if I came close to that. This one's interesting, coming in from Parks off the claim. I'm intrigued to see what we get from the number 1 horse, but I have it 8-5-6-1.
All right. One thing I said, because it's a light card. You remember how infrequent it was a New York bred could basically run through their conditions? Not in just like 3 races, but even in 4 or 5 races. I used to have a list of the horses that did it. I just stopped, but it was so infrequent that a New York bred would go bingo. What do you like to say? Bingo, bango, bongo.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Very, very rare. It was very rare that a New York bred would get through it in 5 races. But I used to have a list of how rare it would be for a New York bred to just zip right through it. Take a quick break. When we come back, more.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Starting week number 4, 9-race card today. As of this moment, we are on the turf. So here's keeping our fingers crossed because we have the jump race, the Jonathan Kaiser Memorial, kicking us off. So, here's hoping because it's a very nice card on Wednesday.
I'm just looking because when I was down at Impressions yesterday, somebody walked up with a screen capture of our show and showed it to me and said, "What are all those papers?" I'm just noticing. I thought I had slimmed down today in response to that, and I'm looking at the picture, and it doesn't look any less.
It does, because usually you have usually that pile is twice as high.
There is, yeah. They're all done.
Probably the first time
all done here because I got
my
shamed out of it.
You can tell it's a 9-race card today. We're already at almost. But here's the thing I don't understand. And trust me, if Denise was here, Denise is my wife, she would tell you, I am the paper. Like, she cringes, but they're just props for this show.
This is tomorrow, the next day, and so on the next show I may talk about.
Right, that's it. But I said props on this show.
I could.
Props
on
this show.
That's true.
Seth really only needs the same sheets I have. Yes, Seth does the business for Capital.
The promos and the rundown for the next show.
Those things on the left are just a prop for this show.
I could refer to them, I suppose, during this show too.
But I can't. No, but sometimes that stack is pretty high. You have the other day.
There's
Sunday,
a big pile down because, like
Sunday,
I
I
said,
thought you had at least. I'm not kidding here. On Sunday, at least 8 paper clips. I was looking over there. You had multiple.
The guy was giving you props, so he's like, "Look, you got the."
He hasn't seen the basement. What else he'd be like? But Denise will tell you. She will say, this is the old line that people with my condition will say. She says, if you ask him, thank you, you got the joke. She will tell you, if I do ask him to get something, he will just go and yank it out. He will not be like, he knows where it is. I'm like, I said, so it is. I think one of the Daily Racing Form writers years ago, 25 years ago minimum, talked about he had to throw out Daily Racing Forms, and it just hurt his soul. And he goes, when the horses that were running are no longer in the bloodlines of the Daily Racing Form you're reading, you got to throw them out. And I was like, that's a good point of reference.
And then every once in a while you see on Twitter, this is good too, people don't like to throw them out.
No, I hate
it. But it gets time to get rid of them. And they still don't like to throw them out. So it's always like, hey, the wife said, or I've decided, whatever it is, I got to get rid of you. Who wants these?
Oh,
they don't. It's like, they don't want it.
Oh no, the trash can is the best I can do is editing. And usually, what I do with editing, I just keep the Saturday, Sunday ones, obviously for the historical races. I said the weekdays, not at Saratoga, because we have stakes races all the time. But yes, would somebody like it? Because we're all in this small group. It pains us to not have value for some. My wife's like, geez, you think the 1980 Turf Classic has any relevancy that you might talk about? I go, probably not. But giving it away would hurt me. All right, on to the 5th. State Breds, Phillies maiden special weights, 8.5 on the inner.
5178, and I thought the 10 was also a little bit intriguing for Mike Maker at 12-1. I'm not going to argue you off of that one. I'm going to play around somehow in this race, certainly, because I have my dark horse play of the day, the horse right underneath. I almost thought of a dark horse, but I went with the 5, Marvelous Madison on top. Talked about this earlier when I gave the dark horse play. There's nice win early breeding top and bottom, and certainly Chad Brown can have them ready. So I think this horse is live again. The 7-2 morning line, we'll see where that shakes out by the actual post time. Slightly busy going out for Todd Pletcher off a debut that, you can make a case, showed some punch before fading, was the beaten favorite, but the number was a little light. But I don't think it's out of the question that this horse shows improvement with that experience under the belt. Ada May, there was a sibling called Let It Ride. Let It Ride actually fell the other day and was reported to be okay, though. But Let It Ride started the career running second, and then a couple of wins. National Archive, first full, but Constitution on top, says the Clement runner could be one to come out being well met, and Irad Ortiz is on board. This is, to me, is a fun race. As I say, I think there'll be some odds in here and be worth kind of playing around with, regardless of whether you're doing horizontals or verticals. 5, 1, 7, and 8.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I would, with no confidence, would I throw anybody out of this race. I mean, these 10 in the main body. Heck, if the 11 gets in, that might be heck to pay. But I mean, the 3 is very intriguing to me for Joe Sharp. The 4, I mean, it's an outstanding betting race. 2, 8, 7. Carre, first time starter. I'll just take a flyer on this. I draw well for Kerry Ryan. I think, just take a shot. I'm inside. I'm hoping to get through, the first turn with these 2-year-old fillies. A little easier now going to mile 16th than the mile days. And I just, I have a price. I'm 12-1 on the morning line. That's my hope. The Dark Horse Racing Stables. National Archive, Christophe Clement, a first-time starter and offspring of Constitution. Irad takes them out. I have Ada May, my third firster, a Jonathan Thomas runner. And on a side note, Grace and Grit, number 6, Ned Law Stable. 1991, they had Roanoke. They had a good run there. They had and they're still the same colors, the green and white triangular. Have not seen their silks. Have like a couple of times over the last 15 years, but they have Grace and Grit, and they paid $350,000. 287 in. Well, if somebody comes out and their bet, then somebody knows something. But to me, Seth, I would tab this as the most wide open race of the meet so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. And it will be interesting to see if somebody takes a little action.
Yeah, that will be, that will give you a little guidance, because to me, it's all 10. And if the 11 comes in, and she's in it too. So it's whomever. So I would be actually looking for help. Good luck to the horizontal players.
I'm just looking at a horse.
Yes.
They're
what are you
getting
looking
ridden
for?
in circles in front of the gate. Just going around in circles. I don't know what the workout is there exactly. I guess I do. Dino's asking a better view. We did open up a little more on the side.
Now, here's a question. Do you think this horse is in its most earliest stages?
Could be, because I don't think I've ever quite seen that before. The horse is just in front of the starting gate doing some circles.
Almost like he's one of those, dressage horses or something that do things. But
interesting.
And now we'll see.
6 races this afternoon, maiden special weights. This is that restricted. It's restricted to a sold at auction for $50,000 or less. It's also an RNA for $50,000, which is interesting, but 5.5 on the grass.
And I think the thing is, it's the most recent sale, right? That's the rule.
I think
it's the most
right,
recent sale. I doubt that quirk comes up very often, but it's good to know, right? 2, 6, 10 for me, and we have one shared horse. A first-time starter, Fogabor, who's an offspring of Warfront, and we don't. Warfront's kind of it's the latest flavor with young stallions and everything, but. You go back about 5 years ago, we literally watched Warfront stallion fee go up right in front of our eyes. I think it started at 15. It got to 100 in about 4 years. An outstanding stallion, career debut. I'll take Graceful Warrior for a second. The Sugars making the third career start. John Terranova takes the blinkers off for the first time. And then Mascara, first time starter for Wesley Ward on the outside. You see Wesley Ward's horses up here haven't seemed to have been taking the bludgeoning at the windows.
Oh, well, it's outside of
and seemingly rightfully so, because he
4.5 at Keeneland in the spring.
Oh, that's just.
I mean, yeah, he's going to take all kinds of action there. It's a gimme, but I think outside of that, it probably makes sense that up here it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, 2, 6, and 10.
His horse in the stakes race the other day looked fabulous. And for folks who don't know, and as I said, for horses that sold for less than 50 or an RNA, if you're not familiar with that, it's reserved, not attained. If a horse goes to an auction, the folks selling it have a reserve price. And if it doesn't get to that reserve price, they take it home.
Monday night, right?
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday night, the big sale.
And I bring it up because the 9 and the 10 in here are not showing an auction price. They must have been RNAs, I'm assuming. But I have it 11, 8, 6, and 4. I try to stay away from the AE list. But if we're in the first or second slot and the horse just kind of stands out, and I think that's the case with Mean Eileen, by Twirling Candy. Twirling Candy this year for 45 first-time starters, 11 wins, 10 seconds. There's a sibling called Trick-a-Tracky that won the first 2 starts of the career. So I thought there was nice win early for this one. And again, if a scratch moves it in, Mean Eileen is the direction I'll go. Otherwise, My Vanilla by Matoli, who's okay with first-time starters. There's a sibling called La Push that won the career debut. 4 other siblings won in either their second or their third start. So, again, I thought there was win early. Now, this one didn't live up to that in the career debut, but giving that breeding, I think with some experience under the belt, we may get closer to that. The Sugars in the third spot. Collected this year, I was intrigued when I looked it up because Collected has been a very good win early sire. But first-time starters this year on an offer. But last year with first-time starters, Collected 91 first-time starters, 7 wins, 10 seconds, 10 thirds. So, again, I think this year maybe a little bit of an aberration given what we saw last year from the sire. Now, the first 2 starts haven't shown much, but we did get improvement start 1 to start 2. I'll look for more of that. And I will say, Episode with the just a poor performance last time, and you see a trouble line, I looked it up, that it was a legitimate horrible trip. So you can kind of hang your hat on that.
That they get that half length in there after the 70 lengths. We can't time races great, but boy, we can measure how much you got beat by.
I think that's measured out on the photo.
It's definitely, it's definitely a shot.
So the 6th race for me, 11, 8, 6, and 4.
The 9 not having the price doesn't interest me now because I have the 2 races. But that 10, is there a simple way? Like if I go to Equibase and put him in, does he come up under the auctions? And it was. Yeah. I'd be interested to see what the RNA was. Maybe it was 80,000, and it wasn't.
No, I think the RNA has to be under 50.
Oh, the RNA also has to be under 50.
So.
Okay.
I mean, that's right. Sold or RNA for 50 or less. That's what the condition
no, you're right.
says.
It actually says that. Dummy.
But you can, for folks who wonder about auction kind of thing. And for me, I use it a lot.
Yes, you do.
For horses with foreign breeding. If you go to Equibase on a horse, one of the tabs is auction. And I've said it for a while now. Why the DRF doesn't put in the foreign auction prices, I don't know, because you can go to Equibase and if the horse sold overseas, you can find it there.
Well, I don't think there's much communication between the 2. On to the 7th. Vanilla Claimer's in for 10, running right outside our front windshield, 7/8.
9, 10, 4, and 5. Hatch on top. First off the claim for Rob Atras. Drops, but this isn't a suspicious drop. But the horse has been moving down the claiming ranks recently. You go back, though, had run for 16 in September and November of last year. Ran for 12.5 last time and ran okay. And again, we go a little half a step off the claim. I think it's going to be a cozy fit with this group. Second slot, Proven Hope. This horse just might outclass him. Has been in that starter allowance condition and now goes for the 10 tag and as they say, might just have the edge. The last couple of races weren't spectacular, but as compared to this group with the numbers, as I say, may have a class edge on this bunch. Cozy, my boy, in the third spot off a nice try down at Churchill last time in similar company for Ron Maquette. 9, 10, 4, and 5.
I have Cozy, my boy, on top, shipping in at the same level for 4, 6, 1 for me. But Cozy, my boy, making the Saratoga debut was a $16,000 claim. Marked improvement in the second one, going back to remembering that the mile at Churchill Downs, it's not the best race to watch, but it is a one-turn mile. Now gets 7/8, so I like Cozy, my boy. For second, number 6, Daddy Knows, big price in here. 2 back claim, just got beat with Katie Davis in the saddle most recently, going the one-turn mile down at Aqueduct, And from the rail, number 1, Ray Handles had a white-hot meet. Prince James with Dylan Davis in the saddle. 4, 6, 1 in the 7th. And nobody had a chance in the Eddie Reed but the winner. So Dylan Davis had nobody had a chance. Jay Pribbin had tweeted out a thought that I didn't have, which
was it Johans, right?
Yes. That might be right now the finest middle distance turf horse in America. The problem with that is the Arlington Million is your Breeders' Cup, because that was always Paradise Creek's problem. Was he was a great 10 furlong turf horse. He pushed Lord to the mat in the mile, ran second, and then he ran in the turf 2 years later, and I think he finished 4th. So we'll see. It was a very good performance in the Eddie Reed. I had Easter. I had no chance. Take a quick break. When we come back, the late Daily Double.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report as we kick off another week here at Saratoga on a Wednesday morning. Seth, Merrow, and Anthony Mormino. Stakes action today at Saratoga is the restricted De La Rose, $135,000 up for grabs, a mile on the grass.
Now, one thing I probably annually say this about the De La Rose, because of the conditions of the race, it cannot be a graded stakes. There are some years it's a grade 2. I mean, we have had, a couple of years ago, Uni and, got stormy on back-to-back years, and then they end up running 1-2 against the boys in the Breeders' Cup Mile out at Santa Anita. Another one of those examples where you have there's different calls available on YouTube, and Frank Miramati, who stopped by for a drink near I was after it, his line for that was, it's the filly versus the mare. So that was a great call. This
and the restriction is have not won a graded stake in 2024. So you can wind up with a nice field.
And it is almost always the case. Technical analysis last year, I'm good luck. It was a head scratcher for me. And when that's the case, I more often than not, sometimes I do not, But more often than not, if I don't see the cat, I'm like, well, don't settle on the 4-1 shot. I'm at 12-1 with Bill Mott. I am 7-5-3 in what I think is a very high quality race and a wide open one. But third time United States, we had the classic, for me at least, good performance, regression. Now we see if we move forward, we shorten up to the mile. As Mr. Jerkins once said to me, the mile inner turf, the winner and the 7 others that should have won because of the trips, its tight turns, etc. I also noticed, I should have mentioned it earlier. I'll double check on. They are listing the rail at 9 feet on the inner. So we were down. There was 18 feet for 2 weeks, down for week 3. They're listing it at 9. What I'm trying to seek here is, I think I'm wondering if Seth, the main, which usually doesn't go down till Travers week, was not listed as a rail setting for the turf sprints. So please pay attention. I know I bang my shoe on the table a lot about this, but I think it's important with the teletimer. So I don't know. Maybe the rails are going to be down on the main this week. 7-5-3, and we have a new setting on the inner. So on to Sister Luann. Big price here for Safi Joseph, who has come to the meet very well-intentioned. Spirit and Glory for Rob Falcone. I like the effort in the Eatontown, which is run out of the chute at Monmouth Park. Now gets the mile wide open to me. 7-5-3.
Yeah, Rob, when I had him on the other day, said they were going to point to this one with Spirit and Glory, and here she is, 9-3, 10-8. Thought the 6 was also a little bit intriguing, Moofy, but I put Heavy Jets on top. Steps out of Grade 1 company, and I think might just have a class edge. Flavian Prat riding so well on board, and will have to ride well here because, as we've said many times, you're going 2 turns on this turf course, either one, but the inner turf, to be outside, you got to work out a trip. So I may be up against it a little bit, but Spirit and Glory is live for Rob Falcone. Has some early speed and just might play Catch Me If You Can in here. And then in the third spot, we're going to go to number 10 again. Going to have to work out a trip, but it's a Chad Brown runner with Irad Ortiz on board. Has a little bit of stalk and pounce. So we'll have to find that stalking position by the time we go into the first turn of the backstretch. That may be difficult. Going to be interesting to see going into that first turn and then turning into the backstretch where some of these horses wind up. But for me, 9-3, 10-8.
You know, it's funny. If you were newish into the game, you might think, well, they have this restricted turf race at Saratoga for non-winners. I can kind of avoid some of the heavy hitters. It never works out that way. I shouldn't say never. The most of the time it doesn't. You are up against it in the Della Rose, who was, right, 3-year-old. She was the turf champion, right? 1981. She beat the boys a couple times. Woody, absolutely.
Kwiatkowski.
Yes, absolutely. And wrapping it up on the 9 race card, the maiden claimers it for 75, go in the Wilson Shoot Mile.
5, 3, 4, and 6. Another one where, as I got down to the bottom, I was kind of parsing out. So I think the 8 is also interesting, but I'll go with Bold Ambition on top. It is the aforementioned Safi Joseph. Started the career for Chad Brown in New York, then went down to Gulfstream and moved into the Safi bar, and then went up to Churchill for Safi and dropped in for a tag, but $100,000 tag. So last 2, main special, and for the tag, a couple of nice second-place finishes. Gets another little dose of class relief today, technically speaking. I think Bold Ambition is well met in here. Confabulation goes out for Chad and Klarovich, and I'm always attracted to first-time starters from that team. But, boy, this horse was purchased in 2021 for $425,000. Now debuts late in the 4-year-old season for $75,000. I just couldn't pull the trigger, but I also couldn't leave the horse out of the mix. Holton in the 3rd spot. Nice string of maiden special races number-wise that I think set this horse up okay to match up moving in for the claiming tag. Also comes in with a bullet work in the 9th, 5, 3, 4, and 6.
I see it on top with Bold Ambition, the 3rd start of the year. I have Dark Devil number 6 for second. I like the most recent effort. It got picked off for $50,000 by Brad Cox. And Seth, that's the example of like Brad Cox had to be holding his breath with the photo finish going, don't, the maiden claimer, don't win. I can't lose this condition to really, the math, the accounting has to work out. And Dark Devil did not win, just got beat a nose. 4-3. Glint, first time in for a tag for Bobby Robato. Gets Lasix also. We're inside. We've shown some speed. This is going to be a double-digit price. So 5-6-2. And the 9th race finale is scheduled to go off at 5:42 after the 1:10 post time. Succinct day.
Once again, I will remind folks that it's Prize Wheel Day down at the Clubhouse Racebook. If you'd like to swing by, a little extra fun there. And there's a series of Racebook events coming up this week. Tomorrow, it is the Play the Board contest at the Clubhouse Racebook. Friday, it's the Knockout Challenge. Saturday, it's the King of the Hill. All of those. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Bounty Bet comes up on Saturday. The final pick 5 at Saratoga. Play with your Capital OTB bet account. You're in for a shot. And the pick 3 bankroll will happen on Sunday. Like previous weeks, entries will open up online on Friday. We'll remind you of that. Coming up at 10, just a couple of minutes, Tom Law in the house for our Saratoga special segment.
I wonder if he has a pin in his pocket.
We can check. Yeah, certainly. Kim Weir from Therapeutic Courses of Saratoga. And Tom Amello with some trip notes and whatnot.
I'm not saying Seth feels cheated by not having a pin, but he would like one.
That National Turf Ride.
Especially since he's been on board longer than me.
I don't remember ever getting a pin.
It's beautiful, too, by the way. I can bring it in and show you. All right, he stays, I go, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great kickoff to week 4.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.